Friends, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever met someone who's always on a diet but never actually on that diet? That's not just failure, that's hypocrisy. But here's the twist. Hypocrisy, especially this one, is the compliment that vice pays to virtue. The fact that they keep lying about them being on that diet actually shows that they still believe in the value of discipline. They still want to be better, they just didn't figure out how to win the war yet. In this episode, we're gonna dive deep into hypocrisy, especially in sports and fitness, using the paradox of Lance Armstrong, the famous cyclist, and we're gonna also use one of my favorite quotes from Isaiah Berlin. It's all about hypocrisy, and maybe hypocrisy is not that bad after all. Let's dive into it. When you hear Armstrong, the first person that pops in your mind is Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, the first human being that walked on the surface of the moon. Mind-blowing, no one can beat that. Now the second Armstrong, the second person that might come to your mind is Lance Armstrong, which is the famous cyclist, the guy that won 7 consecutive times Tour de France. And Tour de France is one of the most prestigious cycling events, very difficult, and to win it 7 consecutive times is a high achievement. After being diagnosed with advanced stage testicular cancer in 1996, he went on to become not only one of the most famous athletes and role models ever in history, but to become a symbol for resilience and raised millions of dollars for cancer research. Perfect story, right? But that's not the full story. After some rumors about him doping, and which led to this magnificent streak of winning, the rumors started in 1999 and kept on escalating until 2010, 2011, before things blew up and some whistleblower from his team kind of confirmed that. And when you think that things cannot get any worse, he was stripped from all his titles, Tour de France titles, and even what is it called? The organization that he founded, which is Live Strong, an organization to motivate and help people, cancer patients. This is a great, still functioning organization. Even they distanced themselves from Lance. Very sad story. With that being said, now let me introduce you to the Lance Armstrong Paradox. But before we take off, a quick explainer on what a paradox is. So a paradox is a contradiction that reveals certain truth. A paradox is when two opposite things are both true at the same time. A paradox sometimes reveals a truth that is hidden behind a mask. And Lance Armstrong is the mask in this story. He doped, he lied, he destroyed reputations, and at the same time he gave millions a reason to push through to fight. So should we applaud the man or damn the method? That's the paradox. Ideally, we all want to be able to draw a plan when we are completely with our brain power 100% and be able to execute this plan 100% bihazifira, as we say in Arabic. So execute the plan 100% as it is. However, more often than we would like, we run into problems, into things that are out of our control. And we find ourselves having to make certain decisions. Sometimes these decisions do not align with the initial plan. But we think that the end goal remains the same and we can course correct along the way. This is why the Lance Armstrong Paradox is very interesting, because it poses this moral problem, moral question, and we love to make moral judgments. Is this right? Is this wrong? Good or bad? Etc. Lance's public image as a symbol for resilience, for virtue, clashed with the reality of his doping scandal. Even the most celebrated heroes have a very complicated relationship with virtue and with appearances, and how sometimes these appearances can mask deeper contradictions. I find our need for definite right or wrong answers to be a bit too simplistic and disconnected from our human reality. We deem hypocritical the person who says something and does the opposite, and who contradicts themselves, and for good reasons. We call this hypocrisy. But I won't be too quick in booing hypocrisy. I will give it a chance, and I'll try to read through it and take you with me in that reading. And to quote, I'll tell you why it matters. To quote the great Isaiah Berlin, hypocrisy is the compliment that vice pays to virtue. This is a quote from Isaiah Berlin, who's paraphrasing La Rochefoucauld. To explain this seemingly complicated quote, what it means is that when someone pretends to be virtuous while acting otherwise, they're acknowledging the value that virtue is valuable. Even vice bows before virtue. So the same example that I used in the beginning, when someone always is on a diet but never is on that diet, they are saying deep down, they know, they acknowledge that being on a diet is virtuous. We're using it loosely here, but yes, being on a diet is virtuous. And then even though they might sometimes feel weak, fall into the trap of carbs, for example, they keep on believing that being on a diet is the best, is the good thing to do. So this is why this quote kind of pulled me like a magnet. Let's bring it close to home a little bit. Bring it to the personal sphere. I would like to be the person that I portray myself to be in the eyes of my clients, and in general the person that I portray myself to be. And I mean, I would love to be 100% of the time that person. Sometimes I might fall short. 99% of the times, 60% of the times, doesn't matter what the percentage is. Most of the time I fail to be 100% of the persona that I portray myself to be. But it doesn't matter. I am still willing to acknowledge that we make bad decisions regarding our health, our lifestyle, etc., our training. But deep down, as long as our compass, our moral compass, still points towards virtue, if we still see what we want and internally we keep on focusing on that thing, we don't lose it. And this is what I mean by the internal compass. And I'm saying moral compass because the moral compass can choose what's morally right or wrong. We renew our chances to make better decisions. So if this compass is not broken, if it still points towards the right direction, we renew our chances to make better decisions. That's really important. Next time you see someone failing their diet and still preaching discipline, don't be too quick to judge. After all, pretending to be good is still much better than not caring at all. And this extends to other areas of our lives beyond fitness. Areas like politics. People in power, most of the time, are hypocritical. They say something and do the opposite. They constantly contradict themselves. And this is obvious. What is dangerous is when they stop caring about the values, about the ideals. So as long as our moral compass and their moral compass is pointing towards the right ideals, the right stance, the right thing to do, we're good. When they stop caring and stop even pretending to care, this is where the tragedy lies. I hope you liked the video. See you next time.